You are now tuned in to the world's greatest. Tonight is the night. Bright lights, high cloud, yeah, we keep it going down. Everybody get loud. Tonight is the night. A-list candles slowly burning to the ground. Everybody get down. Tonight is the night. We stay blinded while our feet can't watch us. Everybody now we on top. It's not something you get, it's just something we got. 'Cause I don't know if you know we play it or not. Tonight, lights flashing when we step into place, and you can feel the raw excitement from the look on their face. It's like the prize right in front of my eyes to take, and the sky's the limit, got no time to waste. Tonight's the big code, strike quick but creep slow. The competition is out at the moment that we show. Countdown from 3, go, press X to reload. Yet they still try to topple the kingdom that we own. Outnumbered but outgunning, we're fearless and crowd stunning. Never been ever on record, there's no one to protect you. And we would still be right here if all the money was burned, but we stay bumping in your ear 'cause the money was earned. Yo, you can find us climbing, setting the bar, or you can find us red carpet when we hitting it hard. 'Cause the truth is you can find us wherever you are. Just look up, we're flying high with the stars. 'Cause tonight is the night. Bright lights, high cloud, yeah, we keep it going down. Everybody get loud. Tonight is the night. A-list candles slowly burning to the ground. Everybody get down. Tonight is the night. We stay blinded while our feet can't watch us. Everybody now we on top. It's not something you get, it's just something we got. 'Cause I don't know if you know we play it or not. Tonight, you tuning in to a lesson in skill. You hear the static on the dial and the message is real. And while you question our progression, never resting to heal, we keep it going, track stars, we the best in the field. Microphone check on a lyrical quest. We bring in 4-track tech, up the digital spec. And yo, it's crazy to think we went from rhyming the block to rhyming steady on the mic, and now we rise to the top. Yeah, we got our hater shades on, aviator team views, so you haters stay gone. Like shoe nice, we got that game face on. 440 on the floor, man, is this thing on? Yo, you can find us if you drink in the bar, or you can find us black out when we hit it too hard. 'Cause the truth is you can find us wherever you are. Just look up, we're flying high with the stars. 'Cause tonight is the night. Bright lights, high cloud, yeah, we keep it going down. Everybody get loud. Tonight is the night. A-list candles slowly burning to the ground. Everybody get down. Tonight is the night. We stay blinded while our feet can't watch us. Everybody now we on top. It's not something you get, it's just something we got. 'Cause I don't know if you know we play it or not. Tonight.
If you smell what the Rock is cooking. I hear voices in my head, they counsel me, they understand, they talk to me. You got your rules and your religion, all designed to keep you safe. But when rules start getting broken, you start questioning your faith. I have a voice that is my savior.
And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, at an end of what has been quite an interesting week in the world of WWE. I am Lisa Rock Jones, joined as always by...
Sean Randy Smith.
So we will start this busy week with the Battleground pay-per-view, which the results played a huge factor on how the new brand split would play out.
Yes.
Now,
Start.
as we know, every pay-per-view has a pre-show panel before the actual pay-per-view starts and a pre-show match. This match came out of nowhere. It was a tag team match between Breezango and the Usos.
Thors.
And not really much to say otherwise. In a result which I would say is expected, Breezango won the match because unusually this tag team is actually working.
Very unusually.
Now we move on to the main card. The main card kicks off with some women's action for a change.
Does.
And it was the tag team match between women's champion Charlotte, Dana Brooke, taking on Sasha Banks and the partner of her choosing. Now, yes, now, I'm pretty sure that everyone was able to either guess or see this coming, but Sasha Banks' mystery opponent turned out to be the former NXT Women's Champion, Bayley.
Yes, Bayley.
Who is, in some ways, I would say, one of the most entertaining superstars, and I have called her the female version of John Cena because of what she does with the fans.
Very, very true.
Just slightly more popular.
Winning team on submission was Sasha Banks and Bayley.
Yes, because after a match which saw Bayley and Sasha going everywhere, Sasha taps out Charlotte to the bank statement, which will earn her an opportunity that she will get into slightly later when we talk about what happened on Raw the next night.
Oh yes, can't wait for that.
Our next match was the 6-man tag team match between the ending Wyatt family, because we know they got separated in the draft,
Yes, they did.
and the tag team champions, the New Day.
Well, thankfully staying together.
I will honestly admit, I was actually quite surprised with the way this match turned out because the Wyatt family was going to be splitting up.
Yeah.
I would have thought that something would happen where either like Bray or Eric would turn on Strowman, or Strowman would turn on them, and something like that would happen where the New Day would get the win. However, that did not happen because over the past few weeks leading up to this match, as we know, Xavier Woods has been almost hypnotized by Bray Wyatt.
Yes. Which is very, very unusual for Xavier to be fooled by Bray Wyatt.
And whilst towards the end of the match he did seem to break out of it for a while, he got completely freaked out by this spider style move that Bray Wyatt does, which is done as a sort of play or homage to where the Undertaker used to sit up, and still does when he makes his odd appearance.
Yes, but the winning team with the match
As I'm
was
sure
the
you,
Wyatt family.
yes, as I'm sure you've guessed with what we've just been saying.
Yes.
Our next match was the first of our 3 championship matches to take place on this pay-per-view. And it was the United States Championship match, which would feature Raw's defending United States Champion, Rusev, take on SmackDown's Zack Ryder.
Woo, woo, woo.
You know it.
Yes.
Now, I would say that people were pleasantly surprised that this match wasn't all one-sided, and that they, despite the size difference, they actually put on a decent match. But considering the fact that the way the shows got panned out, it's no surprise to anyone, I think, that Rusev ended up retaining the championship by crushing Zack Ryder in the Accolade.
Yeah, that result was kind of expected and predictable.
However, after the match, there was a segment where Rusev would continue the beatdown on Zack Ryder when out to come to save him would be his hype bros, tag team partner Mojo Rawley.
Oh yes, it was also being transferred to SmackDown.
Our next match was hopefully an end of a feud which has been going on for quite a while, and what is sure to be a candidate for definitely the match of the night and possibly match of the year.
Who knows? And it was between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
Yes, and this match had flips, turns, spots all over the place. We even had flashbacks to the days of the Crippler Crossface, which was done by him who must not be named, but made famous by him at least. And we also saw a frog splash playing homage, of course, to Latino Heat Eddie Guerrero, rest in peace. However, the end of the match was almost a bit peculiar because we had two sort of suplexes by Sami Zayn. No, he's not trying to take over for Mayor Suplex City.
No.
Then he delivered the Haluva kick to Kevin Owens. And then just for a second, it looked like that he might show either a bit of hesitation or just a bit of remorse as he picked Kevin Owens up again, put him into the corner, then hit him with a second Haluva kick to get the 1-2-3 count.
In other words, let's hope it brought an end to the rivalry, and now hopefully Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens can now move on.
Next, we go back to the women of the WWE in a match which started by some miscommunication at Money in the Bank, a match between Natalya and Becky Lynch.
Little ass kicker.
Yes, and I think most people were possibly surprised by this match because Natalya is a veteran, and we all know that WWE tends to book that these days for veterans put over the younger talents.
That wasn't the case with this match.
And in some ways I can see why, because in the past few months Natalya has challenged for the Women's Championship and helped put over Charlotte. So because in some ways I would say Natalya needed to win this match, and thanks to the famous sharpshooter, she did.
Yep. So unlucky Becky Lynch.
Next we had the Intercontinental Championship, where the Intercontinental Champion, the also mighty awesome, or so he thinks, won The Miz and Maurice would be defending against Darren Young, who would be accompanied by the man who is going to make Darren Young great again, legendary WWE Champion Bob Backlund.
The match turned out to be a bit of a different match.
It was a bit peculiar. Darren Young was definitely out wrestling The Miz. Then they did this weird ass segment where Maurice and Bob Backlund got into it.
Yeah.
Then Maurice pretended she got injured and tried to tell The Miz that Bob Backlund has put his hands on her. So Miz comes out to the ring. I think there was some kind of botch here with Darren Young's braces. And then from behind, Darren Young puts The Miz into a cross-arm chicken wing. Or was it the $1 Million Dream? One of them. And the match either ends in a double count out or double disqualification.
One of the two. but the title cannot change hands on that. So the Miz is still your Intercontinental champion.
Now, next we had the other 6-man tag team match, which was John Cena teaming up with the soft team, or the How You Doing, or the How You Doing team, to take on the Club in AJ Styles, Carl Anderson, and Luke Gallows.
Also, this will be the club's final match for the team.
Yes, because Anderson and Gallows were drafted to Raw, whilst AJ Styles was drafted to SmackDown.
Correct.
But as much as I hate to say this, in this match, it was almost like John Cena was a forgotten element. Because this match tended to feature around Enzo and Cass and the Club. And yes, you can say that AJ Styles could have been a forgotten element too, but as much of a veteran as he isn't that much of a veteran when it comes to the world of WWE.
Yeah,
But
the winning team.
But then, yeah, the winning team after what was a good match, I won't lie, it was a good match, after being AA'd from the middle rope, John Cena pinned AJ Styles, and I would put money on it that these two will work a proper one-on-one match at SummerSlam.
We guarantee it.
Now, in between this match and the main event, we had the Chris Jericho's highlight reel, which would feature, of course, the return in Randy Orton.
Yes.
And there's not that much to say about this other than it was Chris Jericho and Randy Orton popping at each other, making comments here and there. They had, of course, Orton had pops at Lesnar and a few other things. But this ended, of course, with Chris Jericho eating an RKO.
Yes, he got a one-way ticket to Viperville.
Yes, we've been wondering about this for a while, haven't we? They used to say, commentators for pretty much as long as Orton has been in WWE have always gone, RKO out of nowhere, RKO out of nowhere, RKO out of nowhere. Now we know where they come from.
Yeah, so now they seem to be going for a different name with me, by the looks of it.
But that brings us to our Battleground main event, which would determine ultimately which brand would hold the WWE Championship. It would be SmackDown draftee and defending WWE Champion Dean Ambrose taking on both Raw draftees and his former Shield partners, Roman Reigns, who would be coming back following his suspension, and Seth Rollins.
This match was definitely well worth the hype.
Well, this match is really pretty much what you'd expect. Hard hitting, pedigrees, spears, all that. Because these three superstars have been working together as partners and to a certain extent opponents for the best part of 4 years now.
Yes.
And to make things interesting, at ringside you had Stephanie McMahon and Mick Foley, and Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan.
Yes, correct. But
This
the
match
brand that has taken over the belt.
is SmackDown, because the match ended with I believe Seth Rollins did his power bomb thing into the turnbuckle on Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns came out of that, bounced off the rope, hit a spear on Rollins. When Dean Ambrose came into the ring, hit Dirty Deeds on Roman Reigns and picked up a 3 count. Let's go back to the good old days that I remember, back in the early 2000 days when the drafts were originally split up and the WWE Championship was on SmackDown.
And that brings us to the first Raw of the new era.
Yes, the first Raw of the new era. Raw opened up with a new theme song, a new logo,
Yes.
and a new
Yes.
set. And to take it back to somewhat of an old school type feeling, the position of the commentators had changed from ringside to up the ramp. And also the commentary team was different, because the commentators on Raw now are Michael Cole, Byron Saxton, and Corey Graves.
Yep, Corey Graves.
But in any event, the show opened up with Stephanie McMahon and Mick Foley in the ring. They called out the entire Raw roster, and basically, how do I put this? Stephanie blamed Roman Reigns for Seth Rollins not winning the triple threat match at Battleground, which can be viewed in one of two ways.
What?
One is Stephanie McMahon, well, both ways really. Stephanie McMahon's character as being a heel, having a go with Roman Reigns, because we all know that before that he went behind Seth Rollins. And then the McMahons personally, given their disappointment in Roman Reigns, because over the past few months they've spent time and energy pushing him when the fans haven't wanted that, and then he goes and does this and gets himself suspended, and apparently Mr. McMahon behind the scenes is fuming and doesn't want him to be pushed anytime soon again.
But she made a groundbreaking announcement.
Yes, because of Dean Ambrose winning the championship triple threat match, Raw is now without the world title. So, at SummerSlam, the WWE, or to be more specific, Raw, will introduce the WWE Universal Championship. And yes, I know what you're thinking, the name is horrible, yes, I agree with you. But the name
sucks.
The name I can live with as long as the title looks decent.
We had a series of qualifying fatal four-way matches.
Yes, but we had Seth Rollins was given a free ticket to the match at SummerSlam, and then we had 2 fatal four-way matches announced, where the winners of those fatal four-way matches would meet in the main event later that night, determine who would go on to face Rollins at SummerSlam. The first fatal four-way match number 1 featured Finn Balor, Sami Zayn,
Yep.
Cesaro, and Rusev.
Yes. And the winner of the match was Finn Balor on his birthday on Raw debut.
Yes, so they're not far tying away from immediately giving us some new era stuff. Then we had a bit of action between the other fatal four-way match, but that fatal four-way match would feature Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, and yeah, that is right, isn't it? Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens. Oh, okay, let's just.
Jericho. But the eventual winner of the match was Roman Reigns.
Was it? Give me a second.
Just calculating who was in the match. I seem to remember it being Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens.
Is there a way of telling with how many you've got in the body? If you know what I'm trying to say.
But in any time of any match, Roman Reigns did pick up victory. Thus setting up the main event. Finn Balor, Roman Reigns. And also going on further in the night would be a women's championship match between Sasha Banks and Charlotte. Yes, Sasha Banks earned herself another opportunity at the Women's Championship, in which she would make Charlotte tap out to the bank statement. Yes, she is now your new WWE Women's Champion. And then we headed on to the other segments of our matches. We even saw the return of Neville as well. Neville came back from his injury, his broken ankle exam, and he beat Kurt Axel. Well, that's a match for another story another time. But Finn Balor would then go on to beat Roman Reigns. Yes, you heard me correctly. He would beat Roman Reigns to advance to face Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship at SummerSlam. Now, we'll move on to SmackDown Live. SmackDown Live opened up with Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon in the ring, no, not in the ring, backstage, where they would make their way through the curtain to the ring, where it was filled with the SmackDown roster. Daniel Bryan and Shane then said that tonight is a night of opportunity, and we will set up a six-pack challenge to determine who will face Dean Ambrose at SummerSlam for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, or the WWE Championship, or whatever they decide to call it. The superstars he included was Cena, AJ Styles, Dolph Ziggler, and
How many did you say?
I said Cena, Styles, Ziggler, and another superstar.
Cena, Styles, Ziggler, Apollo Crews.
That was it, Apollo Crews, who won a Battle Royal earlier in the night.
That's only 4 names, isn't it, though?
5, 6. But there were 2 superstars in the match, don't you worry, ladies and gentlemen. But later on the night, SmackDown made 2 to the WWE under the contract of SmackDown. And also, Rhino would make a comeback after he speared Heath Slater in the middle of the ring, after Heath Slater did a
Yes, because Heath Slater was in the ring complaining about not being drafted and wanted to call out Shane and Shane and Brian sorry because they're on two separate shows now. Whilst saying that Shane was looking at the hottest free agent in WWE history, or in WWE at the moment. Shane agreed with him, but that was because behind him we had Rhino.
Yes. Who spears Heath Slater inside out.
Nah, you call it the spear, he calls it the goal.
Oh, nice. But in comes the six-man challenge, in which was a very, very good match.
Yes, it was a
And the
good
winner-
match. In some ways it was peculiar.
Very interesting to see how WWE do this, because we all thought Cena was going to win. Cena hit the AA on another superstar. Then he got forearms on Styles. Styles turns around, gets super hit by Ziggler, who makes the cover. 1, 2, 3.
And that means that SmackDown's main event, or one of the main events, at SummerSlam will be Dean Ambrose versus Dolph Ziggler for the WWE World Championship, I believe they're calling it now.
World Championship. Okay, that is cool. And also, they made an announcement that on September the 11th, we will see the return of Backlash.
Yes, I believe it will be the first Backlash since 2009.
Wow.
Yes, and then this will also be the first SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view to take place since one in 2007, I think.
And I think Raw will soon follow suit.
Yes, it would not at all surprise me if Stephanie came out this Monday night and said something like, on September whatever, we will have a Raw exclusive pay-per-view.
So that brings Battleground, Raw and SmackDown to a close.
So far it looks like the draft and planned extension is working, and it also looks like SmackDown at least will have the opportunity to get some free agents who have not been possibly seen in WWE for a while. The first over it's been, of course, Shelton Benjamin.
Yes. So join us then. So join us next time for a recap of Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah, so that will be a new segment we will start on this show to accommodate with our audience and hopefully to grow a new audience. We will give a weekly review of each show, and it might actually help us build to our post pay-per-view shows a bit as well.
Yes, so until then, I've been Sean Rankin Smith. He's been
Reese Rock Jones.
Until then, see you soon.